Hello everyone, this is Grandmaster Damian Lemos and we continue with our beginners series for iChess, and today we'll talk about tactics. As former world champion Bobby Fischer said, tactics flow from a superior position. That's true, and I also believe that no matter how good you are, no matter how tough you study, if you don't know tactics, then it will be close to impossible to convert your advantages. So that is why knowing the tactics is key for your chess improvement. So let's name a couple of them. Of course, as we advance, we'll know much more. But let's start with, for instance, a pin. A pin is something like this. I'll just put an example. I'll just play some moves, developing pieces. White, suppose we play the Spanish game, also known as Re Lopez with bishop b5. And let's say black plays d6. Here we have a pin. The bishop is attacking the knight, and the knight cannot move because the king is behind. So the knight on c6 is under a pin. Let's say here we castle and black plays queen d7. The knight still is under a pin because if he moves the knight for some reason, suppose he plays knight d8, then we simply take the queen. And of course, we win a lot of material. We lose a bishop, we win a queen. So he basically cannot move the knight, and if he does, he has a big loss. So that means the knight is under a pin. And we can pin not only with the bishop, we can also do so with a queen or a rook. For instance, I'll just play, as I said, I'll play random moves. I'm just trying to open that position to make sure we have a pin. Here, for instance, we have rook e1 check. Suppose he covers the check with bishop e6, or bishop e7, or knight e7. No matter what he moves, that piece is going to be under a pin, because he cannot move that knight on e7, because his king is behind, because after bishop e6, the bishop cannot move because the king is behind. So actually black here is under two pins. Knight c6 is under a pin, and so is bishop e6. So the pin is a good tactic to have. It's a good weapon to have. Let's see more. Another tactic I love is the fork. And if you have the chance of doing a fork, then you're probably going to win material. So let's say as white, I play something like d4. I'm just playing solid moves. I'll play bishop e2, I'll prepare to castle. And let's say our opponent plays this move, bishop to e6. Here as white, we have the chance of doing a fork. We can do so by playing d5. As you can see, here we have two threats, taking the knight and taking the bishop. And no matter what he does, he's gonna lose either his knight or his bishop on e6. So this is a fork, when we attack two pieces at once. And here, well, there's nothing black can do. If he moves the knight, I'll just take the bishop, and as I said, if he moves the bishop, I'll just take his knight. We have other forks. I'll show you another one. Let's say we play bishop here. As black, I'll just play random moves. He's as black I'm basically moving the rook all the time. And here white with his last moves, he developed an attack on the f7 square. If I take on f7 with my knight, which is protected by the way, he cannot take it because my bishop is guarding the knight. Here my knight on f7 is attacking the queen, and it's also attacking the rook on h8. This counts as a fork, but this is also known as double attack. My knight is doing a double attack at the moment. This is annoying because they are usually tough to defend if you're on black side. So yeah, we have more. I have them written down here. Let me check. Double attack. Okay, this one is key as well, but in order to show you this, I'll have to set a position up. I'll just do it real quick. You're probably watching this too. Let's suppose I have my king here, and yeah, we have this position, simple position, and it is white to move. His king is on this diagonal, and if knight e4 was gone for some reason, this would be a check. Queen would be checking the king on b7. So here we have another tactic, which is called the discovered move. If we move the knight, suppose we move the knight back to f2, this is known as a discovered check. We remove the knight from the diagonal and now we are checking him. So actually any knight move here would be a discovered, because wherever we move the knight, it is going to be a check. And here, well, we have this position. We'll take the chance to learn a new tactic as well. We know that discovered check, but here we can also double check him. I love double checks because they are usually deadly for your opponent. A double check would be something like knight d6 or knight to c5. As you can see here, we are checking him twice. So the only way he can escape is by moving his king. Let me explain. If we move a move like this is a check, sure, but he has options. He can move the king, he can basically run away, or he can cover the check with a move like c6. He's got options. However, when we double check, when we play something like knight c5 check, he cannot cover the check. I mean, if he plays c6, blocking that diagonal, this covers the queen's check, but it's not covering the knight c5 check. He cannot take my knight because my queen is still attacking his king. So when we double check, the only option he has is moving his king. If he cannot move his king, then it's probably checkmate. So here, if he wants to escape from my knight and my queen, this is the only option he has. And by the way, my knight is guarding these two escaping squares, so my queen can do this, and this is actually a checkmate. So let's see a bit more. I have another great position to show you. And if you know this, well, that's good. If you don't, you'll learn a very nice position. You'll see this sooner or later in your chess career. Suppose, I have this. And it is our turn as white. As you can see, the queen is here. It is on black's king's diagonal. So here, if we move our knight, we'll have a check, a discovered check. We move the knight, it is a check. We don't move the knight, well, the king is at risk, but it's not being checked. So, as white, if it's our turn, we can of course consider moving the knight here, check, knight e5, this is another check. But what about doing a double check? The concept we just saw, checking him twice. If we check like this, he's got options. He can move the king here, or he can even cover the check with rook f7. This is of course not good because we take the rook and we mate him, but the point is valid. He's got options. If we double check him, if we play something like knight h6, he's under a check and he's under another check. That means he has no time to take our knight, because in this case, my queen is still attacking his king. That means he cannot play rook f7, because this is covering queen's d5 check, but my knight on h6 is still attacking the king. So after double checks, as we pointed out, the only reply he has is moving his king. And after king h8, well, here we would love mating him as soon as possible, and here I'll mention an advanced tactic which is known as the Philidor's mate. I mean, if we play knight f7 check once more, then he'll just move his king to g8, and yeah, we are still winning, we have much more material, but we haven't made any progress. So here after king h8, we have this wonderful move, queen here, which looks like a bad move, because we are sacrificing our queen. He cannot take with the king, obviously, because the knight is guarding that square. The only move he has is rook takes, and here we have this nice check, which is also a checkmate, and we are doing so with a single knight. So this is known as the Philidor's mate, and the more we study, the more chess we know, we'll find that we also have Philidor positions for endgames, middle games, and even for an opening as black. So we saw some basic tactics. Of course, we have much more. You can check the article, it is probably linked on this video, and you'll learn much more. These are the basics, but definitely a good way of getting you started. So I hope you found this video useful, I hope you could learn something, and of course I want to see you guys in my next videos. Thank you.